As our road network, the 2,000 miles of canals crisscrossing England and Wales. Now, the newly formed charity, which looks after them, is spending £50 million on their maintenance.
Yes, landslides caused by the recent wet weather have led to some breaches along the canals. For more, we can go to our reporter John Maguire, who's live in Yorkshire, and I think he's doing some woodwork. Morning.
Yeah, morning to you, Louise. I am the newest apprentice of the canal. Oh, look at that. The Canal and Rivers Trust. We're just finishing off a bar here. These are obviously lock gates made from British oak. They call them bars here, but at the other workshop in the Black Country in Tipton, they're called rails. It's amazing when you look at the work that's done here. Traditional materials, traditional methods, but done with a very modern twist. All of that, of course, comes with a price. It's expensive maintaining a system that's 2,000 miles long and contains hundreds and hundreds of lock gates throughout, and is, of course, a couple of hundred years old.
They were the arteries of the Industrial Revolution, thousands of miles of waterways crisscrossing the land. But nature, as always, has its own ideas. This was the scene in September as the Trent Mersey Canal at Dutton in Cheshire burst its banks following a landslide. It sent water, fish and everything else cascading down into fields below the embankment.
You got one?
Oh, I've got one.
Hey!
My first piece.
Belinda Davenport has lived on the banks of the canal since she was a little girl. At her tea rooms, we're working on a jigsaw depicting the breach. It's being sold to raise money to help the repairs.
There was pike there that were sort of 12 inches dying, but there was some that were alive coming down the water that was going down right down to the bottom. And there was lots of old crockery as well. I mean, really sort of, you could tell that it was very, very old. There was a few bottles, all the history of the canal that was at the bottom was all sort of stretched all the way down. It was just fantastic.
Since last summer, British Waterways changed from government control to become a charity, the Canal and River Trust. Involving local communities is a key part of the new structure. The cost of this repair will be more than £2 million.
And Richard, we can see what caused the problem. It's still happening. There's still so much water in the ground here.
Yeah, I mean, we stood in the bottom of the canal. You can see the water table alongside there, and you can see that the water leaching out, and the sand is absolutely saturated, and that's just what happens. The sand becomes buoyant, becomes unstable, and then slumps, and gravity takes its course.
Now, when you're down here, right in amongst the works, it gives you a really good idea of the scale, of the size of the challenge facing the engineers. Essentially what happened, the land slipped, the canal cracked, it breached, all of the water ran down that valley there. It's a huge task trying to repair this, but after all, it has stood here for 235 years. Not bad for its age.
And the challenge for today's engineers is to match their forebears' achievements.
We need to make sure that that groundwater, that water that comes down the hillside off the adjacent land, free drains through all the material underneath our new canal and drains away to lower levels, so therefore we can keep the embankment, the new embankment, stable.
The Trust will spend £50 million just on its winter works programme, and some of the money will come from donations. Maintaining history doesn't come cheap.
Well, let's find out a bit more about that crucial money with Vince Moran. We know charity giving is down. We've had a tough winter in terms of at least a couple of breaches. Yep. Concerned about managing to pay for everything?
Well, we've got most things are planned in. I mean, we're in the middle of our winter works programme now, where we're spending up to about £50 million caring for the 2,000 miles of canals in this country. You know, we're working to plan. We've had a couple of emergencies, but we've got some reserves to cover that. So we're in a reasonably good shape. But, you know, if there is anybody out there who wants to help us out with a bit of a donation, it's always welcome.
Anybody with shallow pockets and long
Absolutely.
arms. All right, Vince, thank you very much indeed. There are open days, by the way, over the next couple of weeks right across the canal network in England and Wales. Workshops like this will be open to members of the public. You can come down, see what work's done and get a real sense of what the canals are like for yourself. Back to you.